Let me go ahead and just make sure everyone's muted so we don't get no interference. Not being rude, guys, just it causes a lot of distortion in the call. Let's just give a few more minutes. Looks like folks are coming in, trickling in. So we want to make sure everybody's on here before we get started and they don't miss any important content. We'll start in just a few minutes, guys. We're giving folks an opportunity to jump on here. Thank you guys for jumping on this Monday morning. Hope you guys are off to a wonderful start. All right, guys. Well, for the sake of everybody that is here on time, guys, my name is Chris Chavez. Thank you guys for jumping on the Sky's the Limit call this morning. I know that there's some folks also from coast to coast on here, so welcome, guys. This is a telesales training, just an opportunity for myself, Chris Chavez with Family First Life, to kind of go over what it is that I'm doing with telesales. Okay, and so basically what we're gonna do is gonna cover a few things. Please make sure you mute yourselves when you come in. Thank you, guys, just to avoid some distortion. But again, my name is Chris Chavez, Family First Life Frontline. I want to thank Stephen Yee and Trey Honeycutt for having me on their call this morning. It's a true pleasure, truly humbled, guys. It's an opportunity for us as leaders, as agents, to share what we're doing, but also learn from each other. And this is the amazing thing, guys, about Family First Life, is that we all get to share information and just kind of cherry pick and pick and choose what it is that's working for us, what's not working, and just custom tailor it, right, to your needs, to your specific script, whether it is if you're doing hybrid method in homes or just simply telesales. So that's the great thing about this, guys, is that you can custom tailor everything to your liking. Okay, so again, just wanted to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Chris Chavez. I've been with Family Life now for a little over a year. I just had a 1-year anniversary date right now in July. So prior to coming to Family First Life, I was at a prior IMO for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. At this prior IMO, completely the opposite of what we have here at Family First Life. From comp to, to the leads, to the free training, you name it, just to name a few. Okay, so over there it was make a list of family and friends and we'll tap into that market, recruiting in order for you to be able to make an impact in your business. So long story short, I was living the nightmare while being sold the dream, right? They were selling me the dream, but I was living the nightmare. I was still working full time for my public sector management position here with local government in California. For those of you that I'm in California, and so long story short, I thought that was going to be my ticket out, right? Going into that IMO, thinking that was going to be the business opportunity that I was looking for to find that freedom that I was looking for, right? The opportunity to fire my boss. Well, come March of this year, Family First Life gave me that opportunity, guys. It gave me the opportunity to fire my boss after 20 years of service for local government. So why do I emphasize on that? Because it is important for us to understand what we have here. Whether we're running in-homes or we're running telesales, we have an amazing opportunity here that we can not only capitalize on financially for our family, but also we're making a huge impact in the community and the people's lives that we serve every single day. So let's not lose sight of that. Let's not lose sight of our why, right? Why we're doing this, but and also let's not lose sight of why it is that we're out there servicing families, right? We want to make sure that we place them in the best position possible. So going into telesales, guys, let's just jump right in. In the telesales that I do, I think one of the major things that I've had to overcome per se is the credibility, right? People want to know who you are, who you're with, and if you're actually licensed or you're just some guy on the phone trying to collect information to do weird things with their stuff, right? So the reality is, guys, that credibility is very important. What is it that I do for credibility? I'll share that with you guys right this second. So credibility, guys, one of the things that I've done is, and this is totally free, guys. If you can, download Canva. It's an application that you can create a nice little free digital business card or flyer with your picture, your national producer number, and your phone number, and email possibly. And if you have an office address, great, you can put that on there as well. Okay. So one of the things I did was I created a business card. I have the credibility sheet, which is basically, the form that has all of our carriers on there. I have that digitally saved as well. Okay. I have that digitally saved as well. And I also have every single state that I'm licensed in. I have that picture in my phone and on my computer. Go. Okay, so in my phone, in my computer, is that because when them see that there's going to be some objections or some hesitation or some pushback on their end, I have that stuff ready to go. I have it both in my email, ready to be sent to their email, and I have it in my phone, ready to be text message to them, okay? So one of the things that I do is I make sure that I have that ready to go, both email and text message, okay? Another thing that I do is I also explain the process to them and the reason for my call. Okay. I go ahead and I share with them the reason for my call. And I'll get into the script a little later. But I basically just mentioned what it is that we're going to be doing. I explain the process, right? The process is important for them to understand what exactly is it that we're doing here. What is the purpose of this call, right? A lot of the times they're going to tell you they don't remember submitting their information. So there's a lot of rebuttals and objections that we'll go through that I deal with, that you guys are probably dealing with, and how we get around those. Okay. And most importantly, let them know that, we have a vast variety of carriers, right? So we're going to do our due diligence to find the best suitable option for them. Okay. And what I say is that it's based on 3 things. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is based off of your age, your health, but most importantly, your budget. So I've already explained the process right there. I'm going to look at something that's suitable for you based on your age, your health, and your budget. So right there, I'm showing them that my best interest is them, right? That I'm looking for the best option for them that's going to be suitable for them. Okay. So one of the things that I also mentioned in the beginning is that I'm a state licensed underwriter appointed by the state of whatever their state is. And the reason for my call is to go ahead and go over the options that they inquired about or that they requested. So I'll go into the script right now, guys. For those of you that want to take notes, I would say this would be the time to grab a pen and paper if you have it handy. And always, like I mentioned, you could apply it to your text, to your script, or just pick and choose what's going to work for you in terms of wording and certain things that stick out for you that you can implement into your script. Okay, so my script goes a little bit like this. So I'll say, hello, Mrs. Brown. She'll say yes. I say, hey, Mrs. Brown, my name is Chris Chavez. I'm a state appointed underwriter with the state of Texas. I'll use Texas as an example. With the state of Texas. And I just wanted to reach out to you because I have an inquiry here on my desk that you sent in requesting information for life insurance or final expense or mortgage protection, whichever three of the leads that you're working on, guys, okay? So I'll say, let's just say final expense for this reason. For the inquiry that was submitted for final expense, ma'am, where you put your phone number as da-da-da-da-da. I have your date of birth as November 3rd, 1964. Is that correct? Yes. I don't remember inquiring about anything. Well, ma'am, not a problem. I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning. Just crack a little joke or something, right? Just to build that rapport. But ma'am, again, my job is very simple. I'm just reaching out because I have this inquiry on my desk that I have to resolve. Okay, so the reason for my call is just to see if you have 5, 10 to 15 minutes to go over this information with you. Okay, so that we can show you the options that are available to you. Okay. So again, and then just go right back into it. I also have your email as this, and I have your address as 12345 Miracle Lane. Is that correct? Yeah, it is. Okay, perfect, ma'am. So like I mentioned, I'm a state licensed underwriter. My job is very simple, is to go over a few options for you based on 3 things. Based on your age, your health, but most importantly, your budget. That's what I'll say to Mrs. Brown. My job is very simple, is to go over your options and see what's available to you based on your age, your health, but most importantly, your budget. Now, Ms. Brown, I also want to add that I have access to over 10 or 15 different carriers, particularly in your state of Texas, that we can look at and shop around for and see who has the best rates and the best option for you. Okay. Now, ma'am, if I may, can I go ahead and ask you a few questions so that we can go ahead and get started with the process? And then I just go in. So the process like that, that's the beginning, the intro, right? That's how I introduce myself. And she maybe, she'll have some other rebuttals and whatnot. One of the other rebuttals that I always deal with in the intro is them trying to find out if I'm somebody creditable, right? So again, that's where your national producer number comes in, your phone number, giving them your information. Now, Ms. Brown, so before they ask for it, or before you start to deal with those rebuttals, what is it that we do? We go ahead and we let them know, ma'am, can you please grab a pen and paper, Ms. Brown? I'm gonna go ahead and share some information with you. I want you to have my state license number, phone number, email, and where I could be reached at all times. Okay, and this is for you to also look me up on all state and local government websites. Right there and in there, I'm already dealing with the objections that are going to be coming, right? So one of the things that I do is I'll say, go ahead and grab a pen and paper. I'll give her my national producer number and all my information. Okay, and then once we get over that, then I'll start just confirming information, right? Her address, phone number, things of that nature. Okay. Also, I ask right away, once I get over that first introduction section, I'll say, Mrs. Brown, so I know that we're looking for final expense options for you. Who would you like to put down as a beneficiary should we get an approval today? Should we find an option that's suitable for you today? Who would be taking care of your last minute affairs, Mrs. Brown? Who's going to be making all the final decisions for you, Mrs. Brown? Why is it that I'm doing that? The reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to keep emphasizing on James, her son. I'm going to be emphasizing on Lisa, her daughter, all throughout our conversation. Should there be any resistance or any objections or any rebuttals? Well, this is for Lisa. This is for James. This is so that we make sure that James has everything that he needs and he's not burdened with, you know, with the expenses later down the line and so forth. So right away, I'll ask for the beneficiary's information, right? I say, who do you want to put down as a beneficiary? And then I'll go ahead and can you have do you have a phone number and maybe possibly an address for them as well? So I'll get that information, right? And then I'll go into the next phase, which is the health assessment question. So if you notice, it's kind of like what we're doing is going through the financial inventory, guys, right? Your financial inventory, if you guys don't have this, make sure you get access to this with your upline, okay? If not, I'll put my email in the chat here, and or on IG. You guys can follow me on IG. I'll send you all this information. Basically, your financial inventory is key because you're collecting information. I always tell my agents we're in the data collecting business, right? We're going to collect as much data from the client as possible to basically package something up for them that's perfectly suitable for them. All right. So again, going back into the script. So what I'll say is I'll get the beneficiary's name and then I'll go into the health assessment questions, right? I'll ask if there's any medications that they're taking or any chronic illnesses or anything that they're dealing with, right? Diabetes, metformin, whatever the case is, collect that information. Why? Because that's going to dictate which direction you're going to go in terms of carriers. Another really helpful thing that I use in telesales, guys, that you should have is your grid sheets. Okay, there's one for term, and then there's one for final expense. These grid sheets are amazing. Why, guys? Because all you got to do is look on here. If they tell you they're dealing with a particular chronic illness, right? Like diabetes, or they had any major surgeries like a heart attack or stroke or stents placed in their heart at some point in time, right? It tells you if it's going to be an approval or a decline, right? So these are very helpful to have handy. I have both of them right here next to me. It's like, you know, I have my inventory sheet and my grid sheets at all times. Even when I'm not in the office, they're with me at all times in my backpack. Okay, so I'll ask the health assessment question, then I start the quoting part. Okay, why? Because now I know which carrier is more likely to accept them. One of the things that I learned, guys, in telesales, because I started in the field, right? When I first came into Family First Life, we were doing a lot of field in-homes. I was doing a lot of in-homes, and that was great. Love it. I still do. I still strongly believe in it. I still feel that as a new agent, you should definitely do a couple of in-homes, because that's going to help you in terms of understanding and learning the different objections and how to go around them and things of that nature, right? In the process of filling out the financial inventory and the process of also filling out an application. If you cannot fill out an application successfully in the in-home, you need to work on that before you transition to telesales, because telesales, you don't even have the client in front of you. It's all over the phone or on a Zoom call, right? Or whichever way of communicating that you guys are dealing with. So that's very, very important. So one of the things that I had to figure out was making sure that I had all the tools necessary before I took on telesales. Okay. Now with telesales, what I've realized is that it's a little bit more complicated, if you will, because you don't have the client in front. But the point I'm trying to make is that with telesales, it's going to be something that you're definitely going to want to practice and have all the tools necessary in front of you in order to run a smooth appointment, right? Or a smooth application process. So once I ask for the medications or the health assessment questions, then I know which carrier to go with, and I'm able to start quoting. Okay, so then that's when I'll ask this question. And this is where a lot of folks would say the deal goes south or it goes north, right? In your favor or not your favor. Because most of the time, folks that we're dealing with are either on fixed income, or they just think that they can't afford it because it's a little too expensive. They already have this thought in their mind that it's either one, free because it's state regulated. So one of the things that you'll hear is we'll use the wording state regulated, but a lot of the times they get it confused with state sponsored. They feel like it's free sometimes, especially with final expense. So what you do is it's state regulated, ma'am, it's not state sponsored. So because you're on fixed income, ma'am, my question to you is, Mrs. Brown, what would be something that's comfortable for you? Because nobody knows your budget better than you do, right, Ms. Brown? Yes, that's right. Okay, perfect. So what would be something that's suitable for you, ma'am? Anywhere between, and I'll set the tone, right? Anywhere between $40 to $60 a month, $60 to $80 a month, or $80 to $100 a month, or $100 and above. What would you say is your comfortable price range, Mrs. Brown? Or what would be something that's comfortable for you? And she'll say, well, more like 40 to 60. Okay, perfect, ma'am. So right then and there, guys, you have your three options. How many of you that have your camera on have heard of giving people the three options in the in-home? Raise your hand. There you go. I see you, Woody, Vernon, Anna. Yeah, exactly. So there's your three options, guys. You got 40, 50, and 60. Give them those three options. Give them the $40 option, $50 option, $60 option. Ma'am, based on your budget, Mrs. Brown, this is what I came up with. Okay, so we looked at your age. We plugged in your age into our system to see what best options are suitable for you. We plugged in the medications and the diagnoses and so forth that you're dealing with. And we're also putting in your budget. Now, based on those three things, ma'am, here are three options. Now, Mrs. Brown, which one of those three options do you feel is the best fit for you? And I asked this, Ms. Brown, why? Because here's my Chris Chavez quote. Because we want this to be a blessing and not a burden to you. This needs to be a blessing and not a burden to you, Mrs. Brown. Which one of these is going to be the most comfortable for you? And then I step back and I let her answer. The time in homes, they're going to go with that middle option, right? And in some cases, they'll go with the lower option. In some cases, they'll actually upsell themselves. It happens to me all the time because they see that it's only a $10 difference. They're like, you know what? I think I can go with that one. And so when I hear that, I'll also say, Miss Brown, are you sure? We want to make sure that this is something that is going to be a blessing and not a burden to you. If you feel that this is a better option, is there any reason that you think later down the line you won't be able to keep up with that? Because, and then you kind of just want to, I know it sounds crazy, right? Because you're kind of like, wait, Chris, why are you, taking your sell away, right? That's an extra $10 of premium. The reality is, guys, you want to make sure that your business stays on the books. What's going to end up happening if you upsell or they upsell themselves 3 months, 6 months down the line, they can't afford it anymore. What do you think they're going to do, guys? They're going to ask you to cancel it, or they're going to cancel it. Now you have to deal with chargebacks. And I mention all of this stuff because it's the reality, guys, of what we deal with in telesales and in our line of business, right? It's a reality. So always make sure that you budget them correctly. Budget them correctly, and that business is going to stay on the books. I don't know about you guys, but I came into this business to be in business for a long time. This is not a little, side gig or hobby for me. This is it for me, right? I resigned 20 years of a local government job to do this full time because it's that great. So if we run a tight ship and we run a very professional, ethical business, then guess what? You're going to be in business for a very long time. And I don't know why I'm mentioning that, but it's just something that came to thought. Okay, so the script, again, very simple. Just go into the introduction, right? You introduce yourself, give them your national producer number, phone number, email, address if possible, if they're local. And I also have dealt with, because of Telesales, we're dealing with different clients in different states. I have had that, well, you're not in Texas. I understand that, ma'am. I'm in Southern California at the call center, calling you from my office. This is where I'm based. But I actually travel, and I travel from state to state when need be. So right there, very, very simple. Just deal with it, answer the question, deal with it, and go right back into it. Now, Ms. Brown, again, so let's go into some of these questions. I just want to confirm some information for you. Address the concern, go right back into script. It's plain and simple, right? So again, give them the credibility that you are licensed. Show them where to go if you need to, even if you have to share the state government website with them or whatever the case is. Just be prepared for those things. I'm going to be honest with you guys. A lot of the times they don't even ask me for that stuff, because these are folks that are inquiring, right? They're inquiring about our services, our products. So they're already in the market. So one of the things too, going into the quoting section, right? I quote them, they choose their option, and then I'll start the e-app, the application process, right? Obviously, you guys know, depending on which carriers you go with, you got to email the app or you got to text message the app, right? So you explain to them that process on how they're going to be able to help you help them in submitting an application for approval, okay? One of the other things that once I finalized the e-app, guys, we started to incorporate here at our office what's called the EMS system. It's called the Emergency Response System. So instead of asking for referrals, one of the things that we do is say, Mrs. Brown, I know that we have James, your son, already as your primary beneficiary, but also, guys, get in the habit of asking for contingent beneficiaries. Because if James is not around, where's that money going to go? Where's that death benefit going to go? Right? So get in the habit of asking for a contingent beneficiary, not only a contingent beneficiary, if maybe 2 or 3, whoever, how many people they want to put, but also ask for an emergency response contact, or if you will, an emergency contact. So in other words, Mrs. Brown, who can we contact on your behalf to let them know, Mrs. Brown, that you have this final expense plan with us, and that I'm your agent, and that God forbid, if anything does happen, that I'm the point of contact, that I need to be contacted right away. A lot of the times they'll say, oh yeah, call my sister, call my brother, call my nephew, call my, obviously you have my son as the beneficiary, and you possibly even have a contingent, right? Guess what? That's 5 leads you have for free right there. 5 free leads. And the reason I say that it's a lead, because when you call them and you explain to them the reason for your call, hi, James, this is Chris. I'm the state appointed licensed underwriter with the state of Texas. I just sat with your mom and I assisted her, with putting her final expense program in place. And I just wanted to reach out to you because she told me to call you because she put you down as her beneficiary. So it is very important that you know that you have who I am, number one, that I'm your contact. Should anything happen, God forbid, I'm the point of contact. And in any given case, should anything happen, you have my information, you're able to call me. Okay. And what ends up happening is the conversations, most kids, right? They'll ask questions. Well, what did she get? What is this about? Or whatever. You just explain as you would explain to any other lead, right? And let them know in that process. Now, James, thank you for taking my call. But at the same time, I wanted to ask you, sir, do you have your stuff situated? Do you happen to have something in place for yourself and family? Yeah, we do. Okay, if they do, guess what? I'm offering a free policy review. Not a problem, James. I'm a state licensed underwriter. I would love to sit with you. If you give me the opportunity, I would love to sit with you and look through your policy to make sure that you're in the best position possible. That's my job. As a courtesy, I would love to sit with you and just review your policy and see if it's in good standing. If it is, great, we leave it alone, James. But if it's not, I can show you some options where we can enhance your family's position. See, I'm not sounding too salesy or anything. I'm not being like super intrusive. I'm just letting them know, hey, this is available to you, right? But a lot of the times what we realize is that they appreciate the fact that they're even being called. How many of us have closed business or submitted an application and we're done? That's it. I know I have multiple times. And so now that I'm implementing this system, one of the great things about that is it's staying on the books. I love it. It's staying on the books because now we're building a relationship. You're not just the agent that
Chris,
gave them a policy and ran off. Yes, Vernon.
so in this example, if you have someone in Texas, you're in California, and you're willing to do a review with one of the beneficiaries, would you have them scan that stuff over to you to do the review? Or are you going to take that trip out to Texas and do that review with them in person? What's your thoughts on that?
No, that's a very good question, Vernon. So basically, I would ask if they feel comfortable sending me an electronic version of their policy so that I could review it. Because obviously, I'm in a whole different state. Now, let's say I was to book a travel trip, right? And that's the beautiful thing about this business. We have the hybrid, right? The hybrid method. You could run in person, schedule a travel trip, go out there and run business. And while you're doing that, I could possibly pop in on James, right? And go over his policy. So it's just optional, guys. But a lot of the times, because I'm doing telesales, I'll ask them to send me a copy. I'll either have them PDF it for me, right, and send it to me in a PDF format, and I look over it, and then we just discuss that. Or that's very good, actually. Brandon, he mentioned is you just ask them what carrier it is, and just kind of get a face amount and what they're paying, and you ask them what carrier they're with. I actually did that, Brandon. That's funny you mentioned that. For what is it, Northwest Mutual or something. I just did that for somebody. He's like, oh, I have this policy. If you could find me something better, let me know. And sure enough, that's what we did. So it's very easy to research a company that they're with. And also, guys, I will throw this in there. Stephen Yee preaches this all the time. He's told us, know your competitors, know the different types of products and services that are out there. Because that's going to set you up for success when you have a situation like that, right? You want to make sure you know your Primerica policies, your all these different types of policies that are out there with different carriers. Sorry, I don't know if I was supposed to mention that, but anyway, any carriers that are out there, just know their product, so that way you can compare and contrast, right? And show them how our products are a little better than theirs, or how our products can put them in a better position than theirs. A lot of the times we have families that are in a 2-year waiting period policy, and they qualify for immediate coverage, right? Through some of our carriers like Aetna, Americo, Eagle Premier, or whatever the case is, right? So that's always good to do. Again, that it's called the emergency response system. Guys, if you haven't looked that up, look it up. It's a really, really great way to build a relationship with the families that we service, and also maximizing on your leads. Let me see. It says, what type of number of leads do you purchase and budget? Just to open it up for questions, guys. It says here in the chat, what type of number of leads do you purchase and budget on average monthly revenue, number of states you work? So I have, in terms of states, I have about over 22 states that I'm working in. My average on a weekly basis is anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 in leads. And that's because I scatter it out throughout the week. So I'll spend maybe 200 or 250 one day, or 500 a week, or 1,000 a week. So it changes. It varies. Also on the lead availability of where I'm buying leads at too, right? In the CRM, in the ILC CRM, Integrity CRM. Okay, so that's another thing, is that's always going to fluctuate because, you know, you're depending on what state you're licensed in and the availability of leads. Okay, and going back to the leads, that's what I was going to answer that. I have that actually on my notes in terms of the leads. Leads, you want to do the CRM or ILC 3-month-olds. You have the YouTube leads. You have leads now with beneficiary information on there. We have some really, really good options, guys, that are available to us, along with other vendors that are out there that you guys know about. But also wanted to emphasize, guys, before we finalize today, is the structure. Okay, what's the structure look like for somebody doing telesales? Okay, now when you're doing telesales, you and I both know that if we're not picking up the phones, we're not doing anything, right? The phones are the gateway to the families that we're going to service. The lead is a lead. You could have 10,000 leads on your desk, but if you're not picking up this phone to talk to that lead and potentially service that family, then there's nothing going on, right? So what does that structure look like? Structure is so important because you want to have your day outlined, right? Every hour of the day designated to something. And I think that in terms of efficiency and productivity, that's so important. Like I have my board here and I know what I'm doing between 8 and 11 a.m. 8 and 11 a.m., I'm calling the East Coast. Then at 11, I take a break, get, stretch out a little bit, because when I say I'm dialing, I'm dialing. I'm sitting here on my desk, in front of this computer, and I'm dialing my leads, trying to see who I can get a hold of and who would give me 10, 15 minutes of their time. Okay. Also, take a break, come maybe grab some lunch and do it all over again between the hours of 1 and 3. Then I'll start again 4 to 7. So throughout my day, pretty dialing most of the day because it's telesales, right? I'm not in the car commuting to one address to another. I do offer that, guys. If it's local, I will offer a in-home appointment if necessary. Like tomorrow, I have to go to Rialto because the gentleman that I spoke to didn't feel comfortable doing stuff over the phone. And I said, well, sir, not a problem. The great thing about it is that you're local and so am I. And I can come to you if you like. Changed his whole tonality, changed the whole vibe of the appointment because he was very standoffish. He says, oh, well, if you can come by, that changes everything. So that's the great thing about this business, is that you can do both. But because it's telesales, in telesales, guys, you have to have structure. You have to have your day outlined and what you're going to be doing throughout the day. And I know a lot of us work from home, but have a nice area or quiet space where you could work and be productive with no TVs, maybe somewhere that it takes you away from the noise that's going on around the house. I have 3 beautiful children. I love them to death, but at home, they don't let me work. Why? Because they're yelling and screaming. At least my 3-year-old is. My other 2 are already in school. But granted, when they're home and I'm trying to work, you know, they're playing, and that's just what kids do, right? Can't avoid that. But I have a quiet space that I can go to if I need to. But I'd rather be in an office setting. For me, that's just what works. That's what I've done for over 20 years. I've been in an office setting. So that's what makes me more productive, is being in an office setting. Great thing is we have work spots, right? If you guys don't have work spots, make sure you get on work spots. There's a local office to you that you can plug into as well, right? Where you can go in and have that workspace environment, that work environment as well. Okay, so definitely look into work spots. That's very useful. When you do travel trips, guess what? You can plug into one of those offices and make sure you set your week up for success, right? From that office. So I want to do some Q&A. We got about 20 minutes left. So anybody have any questions or any concerns, anything that wasn't clear in terms of what has been covered today, this morning?
Chris, I have a question.
Go ahead, Jason.
So I think, and you may have addressed this, I don't know, I'm pretty new to the telesales part. I, like you, did 21 years in public service, etc. Face-to-face is much easier for me than telesales. However, a lot of the main objection that I'm getting when I make these phone calls and trying to establish credibility, etc., is, hey, I'm not interested. Hey, I didn't do that. Hey, I've already got coverage, etc. Can you kind of expand on that and help me out with some type of rebuttal? Because I understand people are apprehensive about telemarketers. I send them to voicemail too, because they suck. But that's not what we're doing, right? We're trying to help them.
Right. So yeah, no, that's a great question, Jason. So let's start with the I'm not interested. Okay. So I get that all the time. Who doesn't? Right? We get it all the time. Well, what is it that you're not interested in, Jason? I understand, sir, that you've probably been bombarded with all these calls. But let me rest assured, number one, I'm not a sales guy, Jason. I'm just a state licensed underwriter trying to get this information out to you, sir. So if you just give me 5-10 minutes of your time, I could explain what the process looks like, what it is that we're exactly doing. And if it is for you, then we can move forward. If not, not a problem, sir. You could do with the information what you like. And
Okay.
usually they'll hear me out. And if they're not interested, they're just not interested, Jason. You're not going to change that, you know? And so that's how I deal with that. Or if they say, I never submitted anything, right? How many of us have heard that? I didn't submit that. I've never submitted that information. Well, sir, possibly somebody that you really care about or loves, or someone that loves you, possibly put you down as a referral or put you down as someone to contact that might be interested in the information. So I've used that. That's helped, right? Somebody that really cares about you possibly submitted your information to our office so that we can contact you and tell you about the programs. Or now that we're doing that emergency response system, right? Hey, somebody that put you down as their emergency contact said that you would be somebody that would see value in this for you and your family. So it's all how you word it, right? It's all how you word it. I think a lot of the times we get discouraged or just like not interested and we give up. We're just like, all right, fine, whatever. Right?
Right. Yeah.
But the reality is you'd be so surprised if you just, the selection of wording, how it just changes the dynamic of the conversation really quick. Like, hey, Jason, not a problem. I understand, sir. You've probably been bombarded with calls. I apologize. I'm actually one of the managers here, and I just want to emphasize, I'm not a sales guy. I'm not a telemarketer. I'm a state licensed underwriter, Jason. Just getting back to you regarding a request I have on my desk. Now, sir, like I mentioned, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to give you some information and see if that's something that is something that you would be interested in moving. Well, I didn't submit anything. I get it, sir, not a problem. Maybe somebody submitted this information on your behalf, somebody that cares about you, put you down as a emergency contact, or said that you would be somebody that would see the value in this. Now, if I could only just have 10 minutes of your time, I could go ahead and go over some options with you and see if it's something for you. Does that sound fair? I always ask that. Does that sound fair? Why?
Right.
Because dude, I'm not. Is that fair? I mean, come on. You know, they're not gonna. No, that's not fair. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
It's like, or if you say, is that okay? No, then they'll say no. So is that fair? It's like, come on, meet me in the middle a little bit, right? Kind of like let's meet each other
Sure.
halfway. So that's one way I would go about it, Jason. And again, you know, be creative. See how, you know, selections of different wording would work for you. You don't have to use exactly to the T what I do. But like I said, guys, this is the beautiful thing, is that you get to customize your script, customize your approach to what's going to work for you. And always make sure your tonality, man, your tonality is like super calm, collected, and you're just like, dude, I'm just doing my job, man. Like, calm down, right? I just want to get this information out to you. All right. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, it's Anna. Thank you so
Anna.
much. Awesome. Appreciate you, man. Do you focus on just one call closes or making appointments, or do you do a combination of both?
That's a great question, Anna. I've actually done a combination of both because, you know, sometimes, Anna, we do call somebody and they're driving, right? Or they're at the grocery store or whatever, doctor's appointment, depending on what kind of lead you're dealing with. Obviously, you want to open it up for an appointment, right? A phone appointment. And so one of the things that I do is if I do shoot for the one call close, because Anna, if I have you on that phone, guess what? We're talking. I'm gonna try and talk to you. I'm gonna try to make sure that I give you your options. But if there's just no way possible that you can do that at the moment, like you're driving or you're preoccupied, your attention's not there, I will try to set up a follow-up call with you and say, hey, Anna, what's the best time to call you? Are you available later this afternoon, or is possibly maybe tomorrow a better time? Tomorrow. Okay, perfect. I have morning and early afternoon. Which would you prefer? Well, I'm not a morning. I get up a little late, so maybe early afternoon. Okay, perfect. I have about maybe 1 o'clock. Is 1 o'clock p.m. okay for you? Yeah, that'll work. Perfect. Okay, ma'am. So then how do I lock in? You know how we lock in appointments for the in-home? Like we say, where's the address number listed? Is it on the house, or is it on the gate, on the mailbox, on the sidewalk? What color is the house? Can I park in front of the house or in the driveway? All of those tie downs, you want to have tie downs on the phone too. So those tie downs look a little like this. Okay, Miss Anna, if I can I respectfully text you our day and time of appointment? Is this a cell phone? Yes, it is. Okay, perfect, ma'am. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and text you my digital business card with my national producer number on there, my phone number, email, should you need to get a hold of me to reschedule. But I'm also going to text you a reminder of our time for the appointment. Okay, maybe like 30 minutes before. Is that okay? Yeah, that sounds fine. They're trying to get off the phone, right? Because they're preoccupied. All right, not a problem. I'll go ahead and take care of that for you right now. Well, you have yourself a great day and drive safe. Bye. Boom. And I hang up, and right away they get that text message from me. As I'm talking to them, one of the things that I've learned, guys, is that I need my hands free. So if you have a headset, you know, to connect, I know this looks weird, right? But I have a headset, so I'm like, my hands are free. I'm able to do more stuff while I'm on the phone here. I'm able to start texting and emailing, and I'll do both, guys. I'll email and text them. So you want to do both, because some people don't check their text messages, some people don't check their emails. So if you have an email address and you have a phone number, lock in that appointment that way. Did that answer your question, Anna?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. You got it, my friend. Anybody else? Let's look at the chat here. If anybody,
Yeah, I had one in there. Chavez is
yes,
Brandon.
sir. I just saw that. In terms of the banking, guys, those are two major objections. Brandon, thank you so much. Biggest objection, Social Security number, their Social Security number and banking information. Now, let me start with the Social Security number. When I ask for the social, I'll say, yeah, Mrs. Brown, so what we need to do is we need to look at your medical information bureau, which is basically a history of your prescription records to see which carrier is going to be the best fit for you. What's your social, Ms. Brown? You see, I'll say, what's your social? I won't say, what's your Social Security number? I don't say it like that. I'm just like, hey, what's your social, Ms. Brown? Well, what do you need my social for? Well, oh, I don't like giving my social over the phone. I understand, Ms. Brown. See, this is why it's so important to build that credibility since the beginning. Build that credibility since the beginning. Give them your national producer number, all that stuff that we talked about. But Mrs. Brown, the reason we ask for the social is because they're gonna look at your medical information bureau, your prescription records to see if you're not confined in the hospital or you didn't have any major surgeries that they would consider to not approve you for, because they need to look at your prescription records. However you want to word that, but basically what I say, it's just to look at your prescription records, ma'am. That's all. They don't run your credit or anything like that. It's nothing to do with that. And by the way, Ms. Brown, your information is protected by HIPAA regulations. Okay, so rest assured, this information goes into a secure server, and none of your information, we cannot disclose or share your information with any second parties. Okay, ma'am? So what's your social again? And then I go right back into it. Same thing goes with the banking information. Well, why do you need my banking information if I haven't even been approved yet? Well, sir or Mrs. Brown, we need to put that on file. Should we get an approval, they're going to go ahead and draft for the first payment once it's approved. Now, keep in mind, Ms. Brown, that you can put the day that you want to be drafted on there. You just need to let me know. Okay, and we could go ahead and put a draft date that you need on there and that is more comfortable for you. So I have, and one of the things that I do, guys, I have Google open and I'll ask, ma'am, who is it that you bank with? Even before I ask the banking information, like I don't ask what's your routing and account number. I don't say that. I'll say, okay, Mrs. Brown, and I quoted her and then she gives me the option that she wants. Then I'll start the e-app, right? And once you get to that point in time in the e-app, then you ask basically, ma'am, who is it that you bank with in the state of Texas? Oh, National something bank. Okay, perfect. I'm already Googling the name and the routing number for that bank in the state of Texas. So I Google the routing number. I say, ma'am, I have your routing number as 0111980 2. Is that correct? They're like, whoa, yeah, that's it, actually. How did you know that? Oh, it comes up in our system, ma'am. That's why. But again, ma'am, do you happen to have your account number handy or your checkbook handy so we could put that on file? Which account is it that you're gonna want to put on file, ma'am? And if they ask me again, the objection, well, it's because we need to submit the application with your banking information. You should get in. They can go ahead and the first payment, activate your. Keep in mind, ma'am, that we want to make sure that there's no fraudulent business going on or anything like that. We want to make sure that you are protected should you get an approval, right? This is why we're applying for coverage. Now, again, ma'am, which account is it that you want on file? I have the routing number as this, and I'll just go right back into it. Does that make sense, Brandon? Is that good?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Let's see here. Anybody else have a question before we go? We got 5 minutes. I don't see anything else in the chat. Are you going to post your information? Oh, okay, got it. So I'm gonna go ahead and post my information on here. You can call me I
And
also,
while you do that,
yes, sir.
Chris, over the phone, are you doing top down selling over the phone, or are you showing giving three options over the phone?
No, I'm doing the three options for sure. For sure. So I basically, what I do is I budget them out, and I ask them, you know, what's their budget between 60 and 80, or 80 to 100, or 100 and above. If they tell me 60 to 80, then I'm giving them a $60 option, $70 option, $80 option. There's the three options right there, that it's
Yeah.
within their budget. So I let them choose which one of those is basically the one that's going to be the most suitable for them.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Before we go, we wrap this up.
One last one. Are you doing any one-leggers over the phone, or are you making sure that both husband and wife are present?
That is a very good question. I try to make sure that it's a two-legged appointment, even though when I have the person on the phone, I have experienced that, guys, with telesales, that a lot of the times the couple is not together. And so one of the things that I have to do is either one, I'll try to do a one call close with that person, with the wife or the husband, but a lot of the times they want to talk to each other, right? That's just how things happen in some cases. So if that's the case, then what we do is we want to make sure that we set up a follow-up appointment where both of them are going to be available. But if you can close at least the wife at that moment, then definitely do so, or the husband, and then say, not a problem. We can go ahead and get your spouse situated at a time where it's most convenient for you, and just try to set up a follow-up appointment. I actually did that recently, where I dealt with the wife and the husband wasn't there, and I just ended up doing the husband the very next day, because the wife was like, well, he was really polite, he was really nice, he took care of me, you need to get this done, kind of thing. So it works out sometimes it doesn't. That's just the nature of telesales, right? Is that sometimes it's gonna go in our favor and sometimes it's not. And just be patient. Be patient with that, guys. It's a learning curve, it's a learning process. And most definitely know that you have the ability to do it. You know, you just got to believe in yourself, and you know, have the proper tools in place, and just be prepared with everything that you need, and you should be okay. All right. So I
Chris, how much,
posted,
average, you say you spend about 1,000 to 1,500 a week. On average, how many families are you helping a month?
on average, it doesn't go below 20 families per month. Yeah.
Awesome.
On average, it's nothing less than 20 families per month on strictly telesales. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what this what Family First Life can do for you and your family, man. So yeah. Anybody else before we wrap up? We're right at the 9 o'clock mark. All right, guys. Well, thank you for showing up today. Hope you guys have a wonderful week. Let's go out there and implement what we learned today, and see how we can, you know, help as many families as possible. You guys have a wonderful week, and let's go out there and kill it. Chris Chavez out. Have a good one.